The Iceman cometh. Jonas and me to the cooler. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Ah, good old Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, he was so goddamn cheesy and campy in this. This whole goddamn movie was so campy that even Camping World said, boy, lads, slow it down, tone it down a bit. This is way too campy, and we are literally called fucking Camping World. I'm John Renton with a retro view of Batman and Robin from director Joel Schumacher and writer Akiva Goldsman, and man, this movie was so goddamn cheesy. The cheese was literally pouring out of every goddamn pore and orifice and porifice, as it were. This was pretty much the Batman movie that basically killed the big screen franchise until Christopher Nolan resurrected it and then kind of burned it to the fucking ground by the third one. And then Robert Pattinson decided to do The Batman, which turned out to be pretty goddamn good. This was pretty much a low point for the big screen adaptations, but by Christ, it's a whole lot of fun, isn't it? It's fucking terrible. It is abysmal in every goddamn sense. That mid-90s CGI, that mid-90s computer tech, the acting, if you want to fucking call it that, the complete desecration of the characters, Uma Thurman being a fucking goddess here and still. And, man, just so much goddamn shit to unpack. Let me know your thoughts on this movie in the comments, please. But yes, director Joel Schumacher, the late, great Joel Schumacher, who did come to the defense of Alicia Silverstone after the media was a little less than kind. And I actually remember that when she packed on a few pounds. This was a couple years after Clueless. She couldn't fit into her costume, and the costume people had to retrofit it and whatever. Oh, God forbid. She put on a few pounds. Let's crucify her. Yeah, poor Alicia Silverstone. But anyway, yeah, she wasn't the only person in this. But Joel Schumacher, if that name sounds familiar, but you can't quite place it well, he did Batman Forever. He also did DC Cab, which was pretty goddamn terrible. He also did St. Elmo's Fire. He did The Lost Boys. Yes, the director of this also did The Lost Boys. The Client, A Time to Kill, 8mm, Tigerland, Phone Booth, Phantom of the Opera is here, and The Number 23. That's quite a pendulum of movies. Goes from here to, holy shit, number 23. Better be careful making that hand motion. And Akiva Goldsman did The Client, Batman Forever, Lost in Space, I also retro-reviewed recently. By Christ, was that hard to sit through. Practical Magic, I, Robot, Cinderella Man, A Beautiful Mind, as well as I Am Legend. I think I Am Legend was probably the worst movie out of that. And it has George Clooney as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Shocking, I know that Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person. Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson. I promise you I react to the first name of Dick with the good taste and maturity you have come to expect from this channel. And if you are expecting good taste and maturity, you are clearly a new viewer. Hi, thank you very much for tuning in. But yes, he also plays Robin. Remember when Chris O'Donnell seemed like he was going to be on a career ascent? And then Vertical Limit happened, among other movies? God, that movie was shit. But he found a new home doing one of the NCIS shows. NCIS Los Angeles, there were a lot of NCIS spinoffs. I got to the point where even CSI was saying, lads, we've done a bunch of spinoffs. And Arnold Schwarzenegger as Victor Von Freeze, Dr. Victor Von Freeze. By the way, I said Schwarzenegger, no Hulk, put the spray can down, god damn it, Hulk. See, it works because at this time, the NWO was really, really hot. And Uma Thurman is Poison Ivy. Jesus Christ, she was lovely in this. Michael Goff, I actually don't really know how to say his goddamn name. He played Alfred. He didn't look a day over 120. He ironically lived to be 94, lived years after this. And it had various others, like Vivica A. Fox was in this. Vivica A. Fox, fresh off of doing Independence Day, and but she was in Wait and Exhale, wasn't she? Elle Macpherson, who looked great here. John Glover. Jeep Svensson, who was a journeyman professional wrestler and also actor, stuntman, that kind of stuff. And his last foray into wrestling was in WCW in the Alliance to End Hulkamania called The Final Solution. No, really, they called him that. And then they got backlash and called him The Ultimate Solution. You weren't helping yourself, WCW. No wonder you fucking went out of business. Hard to believe they went out of business 5 years after that pay-per-view, pretty much. This was goddamn campy and ridiculous. Even Sleepaway Camp, even that franchise said, we're literally set at a camp. What the fuck are you doing? There are so many quotable lines and so much bullshit from this. Basically, Freeze has his wife and he's trying to find a cure for Conor McGregor's disease, I believe is what it's called. It gives you an inflated ego and makes you think that you can do something, and you snap your leg, and we all laugh because you fucking deserve it, you twat. But his wife is frozen, and he's frozen because he fell into a vat of cold goo, and he's like, no. And Uma Thurman ends up as Poison Ivy, swallowed up into the earth, and then she basically kills a discount Dr. Wily. And then you have Batman, and you have Robin, and they are at war with each other, and Alfred's dying, and Alicia Silverstone's his niece, and also she races bikes. There was a lot in this movie that is never explained, and it just assumes that you're going to know, like, whatever the hell's going on. Batman Forever was by no means a perfect movie, but one, it holds up a whole lot better than this one. And it actually, even though it was colorful and cheesy and whatever, the cheesiness worked there because they somewhat kept it as a superhero movie. This features a lot less Batman than you might think, actually. I forgot how little Batman there is. Like, after the opener, yeah, we have some moments where Batman's there and then he's in at the end. And a lot of times it's just him and Robin fighting over Uma Thurman, which I don't blame them. I would fight to the death for that. Moving on. But so many freaking leaps in logic, lacks in logic, the colorful sets, the campiness, the ridiculousness, the opening lines, I want a car. Chicks dig the car, his wife Superman works alone. And then, you know, Freeze is trying to get diamonds because if he gets enough diamonds, he can make a machine that can help cure his wife and freeze the world. He could do a lot of shit. Remember when Mr. Freeze actually was seen as a cold, calculated, ironically, individual, and they turned him into a complete campy individual? He had heart surgery after this, Arnold Schwarzenegger did, and it was actually kind of funny hearing about it, where he was just getting up and exercising shortly after that, and the doctors nearly fainted because they're like, what the fuck are you doing? This movie is so ridiculous. Also, I may have to review some later on Schwarzenegger movies because they're so bad. So, the one absolute, in this world is one absolute, everything pleases. Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman. And he bursts in and they decide to have a hockey fight. Literally, there are the Foot Clan soldiers. Why does he have Foot Clan soldiers? Why do they have ice skates? What is happening? What? It's a hockey team for Bell, and they're playing with the diamond and everything. That would make hockey a whole lot more interesting, even though playoff hockey is fucking great. Play with a diamond, and then see the players really fight. And Freeze has this friggin' vehicle with spikes on, and then he has this rocket that he's going to shoot up into the sky, where Batman's going to be frozen, his arms are going to be frozen, and he's going to turn to ice. Now, bear in mind they're going into space. And Dick Robin's just out there, and somehow not freezing in Freeze's rocket, or outside Freeze's rocket. And then they crash back down to Earth. After Freeze is in the sky with diamonds. Yeah, this is going to be one of those reviews. Then he freezes Robin and says, stay cool, bird boy. Down. And Uma Thurman gets transformed into Poison Ivy. I mean, Jesus. Like, I'm just saying. Good Lord. Bane gets created through some serum, and he was a spindly guy, and then gets transformed into Jeep Svensson, who really did. Oddly enough, he actually passed away 2 months, or just under 2 months after this film came out. And if you look at the guy, you probably can't figure out what. It was heart disease. It was heart disease or some kind of, something similar. Because of steroids. Don't do roids, kids. Don't do any drugs. Poison Ivy basically gets killed due to rejecting the doctor's ideas and gets melted with venom and swallowed up in the earth and then comes back. And then Victor Freeze is here to save his wife. And that he needs to have his suit at 0 degrees. And Batman needs to know that he can trust Dick. Well, if you can't trust a guy named Dick, who can you? You can't trust how to handle your dick. I'm just going to keep saying handling your dick and stuff of that variation until it's as uncomfortable as possible. And I wrote down Uma Thurman, just good Lord. My lips are filled with venom. Be fucking worth it. I don't care. I'm poison. Why did Freeze have a singing or demand that his thugs sung this cheesy like song in his lair that's overly comical, overly colorful? Now, granted, I get, and Joel Schumacher just wanted to entertain people. This movie's entertaining, so it's just unfortunate. It's for all the wrong reasons. He wants to freeze the city, and if billions will continue my research and cure my wife. And then Alicia Silverstone's Barbara arrives, and Uncle Alfred, he is dying. Oh no. And naturally, she's got a whole ulterior motive, easy for me to say while being here. And there is a giant telescope that will clearly not be used for villainous purposes. How dare anybody wonder about that? Poison Ivy, bursts in on this media gala, or gala, however the hell it's said. And finds out, Batman and Robin. Well, first I'll rid myself of the fur and the bird. And then Gotham will be mine for the greening. Fuck, just plant me in the ground. I don't care. So, I once again wrote down Sweet Jesus, Uma Thurman. And she uses pollen. She just blows. It's like blowing her lady bits at everything. Have fun on seeing that. Or have fun seeing that. I'm not here to... I wrote a going green, but that's ridiculous. So... she says she's flirting with both Batman and Robin. And she says youth has its advantages, endurance, stamina, that kind of stuff. And she's saying this about Chris O'Donnell. Fun fact, Uma Thurman is actually only 7 weeks older than Chris O'Donnell. I looked it up. Because I was like, wait a second, wait a minute. I didn't think they were that close in age. I thought Uma might have been a couple years old. I didn't realize she was only 7 weeks older. But nevertheless. And then they start bidding on Uma Thurman. Batman Forever card. Never leave the cave with that. What the fuck is this movie? Oh. And then they're having arguments, Batman and Robin are, over the effect, or, wanting the affections of Uma Thurman. It's Batman and Robin. No, Robin and Batman. I want my own top billing. Why have Robin Skeletor? I have no idea. Cassio, Bruce Man. So anyway... Freeze gets arrested during this chase before that, and then gets thrown in Arkham Asylum, and there's a special cold area. And I haven't seen this movie in years, so I actually forgot about this, but I heard this voice, and it's like, all right, Freezy, welcome to your new home. And I go, wait a minute, because I can't do the voice, but I'm like, I rewound it, I go, holy fucking shit, that's Jessie Ventura. All right, Freezy, you can't survive outside the cold zone. Got Agent Orange there in Vietnam. Oh, Jessie Ventura, hell of a talker, terrible wrestler. Seriously, go back and watch Jessie Ventura matches if you dare. Guy couldn't fucking work a lick. But anyway, Jessie Ventura was in this. That was cool. And, wrote down again, Jesus, Uma Thurman was hot. That mid-90s computer tech, all the campy shit, and my fucking... The soundtrack was actually quite fun. It was an eclectic mix. The Smashing Pumpkins, the end as the beginning as the end, was pretty goddamn good. There were a couple other songs on there that I forgot about, because actually pretty much after that opening song, it pretty much drops off. I used to have the cassette. Yeah, prehistoric. And then... basically, Barbara gets caught racing bikes, and Dick, follows her and catches her and everything. And you can't keep, why are you racing bikes? What's going on with you, you weird daredevil? You don't know I'm a superhero, do you? Meanwhile, Alfred is making a CD for a compact disc that you put into your media player in your computer. I know. But he basically makes this this disc with a bunch of stuff for his brother. So naturally, a little bit later, Barbara finds out about it and actually, opens the disc after being told not to. Before that, though, we find out that Alfred's dying, because we already knew that. It's not like it wasn't obvious. The guy looked... Alfred Goff was so old when he was in school, they didn't have history. His social security number is 1. But everybody was as dumb as possible at one point, because why the fuck not? Freeze gets, freed from prison. Says, always winterize your pipes. It's chilled to perfection. A laundry service that delivers. Wow. Okay, Terrible Arnold impression. I got him doing such a disservice to Arnold, but you can't help but try to do the Arnold voice. And then at one point, Batman is battling with Bane, and Batman and Robin are battling with Bane. Poison Ivy's there. Why are the gorgeous one homicidal maniacs? Is it me? And she is gorgeous, just saying. So, she ends up, Poison Ivy ends up stepping on the big old cord that is keeping Freeze's wife alive. No, Nora, no. Nora Jones, how could you be so cold to me? If anybody watching this review knows who the fuck Nora Jones is, credit to you. That's nothing against Nora Jones. So, after she frames Batman and Robin for it, says, "At first Gotham and then the world. The world will freeze. Gall." And then Alfred tells Barbara, "Hey, take this disc and don't open it." Then she does. Then she goes into the Batcave. And it turns out that actually Alfred made himself a computer simulation, because why the fuck wouldn't he? By the way, that lone computer simulation is better than both Lawnmower Man movies put together. That I've also read to review at some point. And she gets a suit with bat nips and everything. And the bat booty tootsie. And then they have to get to this giant telescope, the old telescope that I said wasn't going to be used for villainous ways because Freeze is going to use it as a giant ice gun to freeze Gotham. And you have 11 minutes or 12 minutes to unfreeze everybody. And then there's this battle and this ridiculousness while Batgirl and Robin fall down and they're trying to get back up, but ain't nothing going to keep them down. Then they battle Bane. Then they get rid of the frickin' goddamn hose that's at the back of his head, and he shrinks back down. And kind of a metaphor for what happened to Jeep Svensson about 2 months after this. That's mean. That's horrible. Rest in peace, Jeep, you balloon animal. And then Freeze and Batman are battling over who gets to control the joystick and everything. And yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Arnold Schwarzenegger and George Clooney, joystick fighting. Their moves were not as fast as lightning, even with the editing. Okay, that was terrible. And basically, they use satellites, the heroes do, to melt Gotham. These giant sunbeams are just going to melt Gotham. Not going to fry everything, you're just going to melt it. Physics! And then Freeze basically blows up the telescope, but they somehow manage to melt the goddamn thing anyway, because of course they do. They just use the computer that's still remaining right there, but upside down. Doing it upside down, that's fun, but gets a bit tough at my age. Moving on from that, now that image is in your head. Freeze is down, and Batman says, "Oh yeah, by the way, your wife's alive. She lives." And it's like, you can, we'll make sure that you go to Arkham. We move her body there, and you can continue your research. And it says, "But help me cure Conor McGregor's, disease, stage 1. And he's got 2 tubes and everything. "Take 2 of these and call me in the morning." Y'all. Alfred is alive and well, and they hint to the 5th movie that thankfully didn't fucking come. Poor Joel Schumacher. He tried. I mean, it was entertaining, but again, for all the wrong reasons. It's ridiculous and campy, and that's why you got a long review. There was a lot to cover. It was bad, but it was funny and campy. Almost as campy as 1940s. Nope. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.